The supply has completely decreased now, so if you try to sell, it probably won't sell. The problem is, just take a look, the rental supply is dropping significantly. The rental supply is continuing to get worse. It's getting worse and worse. Hello, this is Kim Ki-hyun from Richgo. Today I will be briefly giving the weekly real estate briefing. Now if you look at this is the trend in sales and rental supply. Sejong and Daegu are struggling, challenges lie ahead, but the direction is getting worse. So Sejong and Daegu will not have an easy time for the time being. So that's the conclusion I've come to. Busan is stable, Jeonnam and Gwangju are rising, rental supply may improve, sales market remains unchanged. The rental supply is expected to improve. The trading market is still largely unchanged. In the case of Daejeon, indeed, the sales and rental markets are gradually moving towards improvement. Jeju Island stands out as it has moved significantly to the right, indicating that the sales outlook is improving quite a bit. The selling pressure is decreasing again, but buying activity hasn't really picked up yet. So, for now, the selling pressure is decreasing and the sales supply is slightly improving. However, when it comes to rental supply, it still shows a slight downward trend. In Ulsan, the rental supply is still very strong. The rental supply is good. The sales supply is rapidly declining. Looking at the causes, the number of sellers is increasing while the number of buyers is decreasing. So, in the case of Ulsan, it seems that the short-term rebound that was looking good has peaked and is now heading downwards. However, regardless of that, I expect that the actual returns will not be significantly bad as the rental supply continues to improve. In the case of Cheongbuk, there's still not much change. However, the rental supply in Cheongbuk is continuing to improve. So, the rental market in Cheongbuk is still doing well. So, in the case of Ulsan and Cheongbuk, the rental market is really hot right now. Therefore, as long as there aren't too many supply issues in these areas, I expect the market won't be too bad moving forward. In the case of Jeonnam, it's starting to decline again. The sales supply is starting to decline again. So, the sales market is starting to get a bit worse again. Next, looking at Gyeongnam, there's hardly any change there. Fortunately, the rental supply has been fluctuating and is gradually improving. So, the improvement in rental supply is really a great thing for the real estate in that area. It's on the rise. In the case of Chungnam, the rental supply is gradually improving, but it's not strong enough yet. So, when the rental supply is around 150 or more, the rental market tends to stabilize, and since the demand is significantly higher compared to the supply, there's a high possibility that the rental market in this area will stabilize. But now, if we look at the metropolitan area, let's take a look at Seoul. How's Seoul? The sales supply peaked in July and has been continuously declining. It's still falling, and this data is from the date I'm recording this broadcast, which is November 6th. So it will probably go up on November 7th or 8th. But when was this data released? It was announced on November 1st last Friday, and it was compiled on October 28th. The data covers the period from October 21 to October 26th. So it's data collected in the 4th week of October. The situation has likely gotten worse since then. So you can think of this as the situation compiled up to mid to late October. Here, it shows that the number of sellers is continuously increasing, while the number of buyers is almost non-existent. So the number of buyers has completely dropped. If you try to put something up for sale now, it probably won't sell. It won't sell, but the problem is, just take a look. The rental supply is dropping significantly, isn't it? The rental supply is continuously getting worse. It's still around 128, so it's okay for now. But do you all remember when we had that reverse rental situation? Below 110, rental danger, now 128. Then the rental market could really be in danger again. But, right, now it's at 128. But what is it? I think it could go down to around 100 or 110. Why? What happens to the supply volume starting from the 4th quarter, especially in November? The supply is going to increase significantly, so what does that mean? The rental supply is continuing to drop. The red line represents demand. And you can see that rental demand is decreasing while rental supply is increasing. And in the future, rental supply is expected to increase even more, right? So how do you think the rental supply and demand will play out based on this data? Let's take a look at the data. For November, the rental supply situation is going to get worse. Everyone keeps saying there won't be any supply next year, but the market is different right now. We really need to look at the market using these factual data. So in Seoul, not only the sales market, but also the rental market is getting quite bad right now. In the case of Incheon, sales supply and demand is falling. The rental market in Incheon is dropping. Incheon is the same. Incheon is also heading in a bad direction right now. Right now, Gyeonggi province is the worst in the metropolitan area. How about Gyeonggi province? It's been continuously dropping like this. And how's the rental supply and demand? The rental supply and demand is continuously getting worse. So the overall trend is that Gyeonggi province and Incheon are continuously getting worse. Let me click on these three. As you can see, the sales market is currently the worst in Gyeonggi province. Next is Incheon. Next is Seoul. And in the rental market, Gyeonggi province is the worst. Next is Seoul. Seoul, Gyeonggi are similar. Next, the relatively better place is Incheon. But the problem is that the trend is continuously heading in a bad direction. So, what's the current state of the market? The metropolitan area is getting worse and worse. Now, if you look here, the drop in the rental market in the Gangnam area is quite significant. Now, if you look here, let's take a look at the 11 districts of Gangnam. Now, if you look here, Gangbuk is right here. Gangnam is much lower than Gangbuk. The rental supply and demand in Gangnam is much worse. So if you look at it, the supply in Gangnam is increasing while the demand is sharply decreasing. So, if Gangnam drops a bit more, maybe in a few weeks, to below 110, then at that point, many people will probably feel that the rental prices could start to drop. You might sense that the rental prices are quite unstable. And this is Gangbuk. You might feel that rental prices are quite unstable. And this is Gangbuk. In the case of Gangbuk, the rental supply is also getting worse. And in the sales market, the supply is not good either. With many buyers, the number of sellers has decreased even more. So the sales market is currently worse in Gangbuk than in Gangnam. So Gangnam's sales market is still somewhat alive, but the problem is that the rental market is significantly declining. And this seems to be having a negative impact on the sales market in Gangnam as well. So when we get the data around November, I think we might see a clear downward trend emerging. The problem is that it's not just the supply that's getting worse. Transactions are also continuously shrinking. Let's take a look at Seoul. When transactions were high, they reached up to 47, but now it's down to 22. Almost a quarter of what it used to be. Transactions have really shrunk a lot, but this isn't just happening in the sales market. This is the rental market, and transactions in the rental market are also decreasing significantly. So, even the rental market is seeing a significant decrease in transactions. In other words, there are no new people looking for rentals. What's the key point to watch? Will rents drop? Sales prices are unstable. Will rents drop? Will rental prices drop again? Right now, the sales prices are unstable, but will rental prices drop again? So, as we move forward to the rental supply and demand, depending on how the data and rental transaction data change, it seems we are at a crossroads where rental prices might start to decline again. If you look at Gyeonggi province, the sales transactions are decreasing and the rental transactions are dropping. The same goes for Incheon. Incheon is seeing a decrease in both sales transactions and rental transactions. So, if you look at Seoul, Gyeonggi, and Incheon, they're all moving down and to the left. The transaction trends, in other words, all the transactions in the metropolitan area are shrinking. And it's not just the sales transactions, even the rental transactions are continuously decreasing. There are also areas that go to the right from here. In the case of Sejong, it's moving to the right. In other words, there were almost no transactions, but they've increased a bit. Overall, though, transactions are still on the decline. Fortunately, how's the rental market? The rental transactions aren't bad. So, rental transactions are still active, but the sales market in Sejong is completely frozen right now. In the case of Chungbuk, the sales market is still somewhat active. Transactions are still happening a bit, and rentals are also being traded. Next, in the case of Cheongnam, the sales transactions aren't bad, and the rental transactions are also doing well. So, we can see that Cheongnam is still one of the areas where transactions are somewhat alive. In the case of Ulsan, it has decreased a bit, but it's still in the red zone. So, the situation is still not that bad for transactions. And in Gyeongnam, rental transactions are increasing a lot right now. In the case of Jeonbuk, rental transactions have also increased. So in areas like Gwangju and Jeonbuk, rental transactions are still happening, while in Gyeongbuk, it's stagnant. The rental transactions in Gyeongbuk are still pretty frozen. As for Busan, some say it's rising, but I have a different perspective. The rental transactions in Gyeongbuk are still quite frozen right now. Busan's prices won't rise soon. Transactions are decreasing. Busan's transactions are decreasing again, while Sejong's are on the rise. It seems like things were getting better as transactions were increasing a bit. But now Busan is also seeing a decrease in transactions again. So overall, it seems that sales transactions are increasing a bit in Sejong. But Sejong is also mostly on the left side these days. So transactions are still low, but at least in Jeju, the sales transactions have seen a slight increase recently. If you look at the past 2 years, there was almost nothing, but it has picked up a bit lately. So it's been confirmed by some data that the sales market in Jeju is starting to warm up a bit. However, the situation in most other regions is not good at all. Some areas in the provinces are seeing a slight improvement in rental transactions, but the key issue is that the major player in the South Korean real estate market, especially in Seoul, is experiencing a rapid and continuous decline in both sales and rental transactions. This is showing a very negative signal for the current real estate market. So with that, I analyzed the real estate market using the trend data that came out in the 4th week of October, specifically on October 9th. If you liked today's content, I would really appreciate it if you could give a thumbs up, subscribe, set the alarm, and leave a comment. Thank you. Thank you.